Hey, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to test my StreamYard, make sure that the audio is working. I have people watching who are going to tell me if they can hear me. So just text me, Dave, if you can hear me. I don't want to waste people's time by just being a silent movie where I'm moving my lips. So, can you hear me? Want to make sure. All right, good. Dave says I'm golden. Good. What Dave says is all that matters, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dr. Danny Brissell, and I am the co founder of Well Crafted Story Workshops with my partner in arms, Coach Jimmy Hayes Nelson. Jimmy and I have been doing these for a couple of weeks where we're answering your questions. And if we don't get live questions, what we've been doing is people have been submitting questions. You can always direct message us via the the LinkedIn workshop, well-crafted workshop site, and you can also DM us. You can type it in the chat. I'm trying to figure out how to use StreamYard. I think I'm starting to use it correctly. But anyway, our job is to help you get more clients. We help individuals, entrepreneurs, and businesses leverage speaking on stages as a major client lead source. And what we're concerned about is making sure that you get your audience to take the next step, whether that's to purchase your product or to enroll in your coaching program or to donate to your cause, whatever. And so I'm answering your questions. I apologize. I'm in a hotel room. I still speak over 100 dates a year, and hotel rooms tend to not be really conducive for really good lighting. So I had to close my drapes. Again, I'm wearing black, so I'm looking even more deathly for Halloween, and trying to get my lighting and everything. I got 3 different monitors and a cell phone I'm dealing with right now. But I will dig right into your questions right now. So, question number one: is the workshop tailored to help me engage both technical and non-technical audiences without losing credibility? That comes to us courtesy of Mark in Tampa, Florida. First of all, thank you for that. Thank you for the question, Mark. But second of all, I hope you're all right. My goodness, the hurricane is devastating right now. Oops, I'm getting a message. All right, so Dave says I'm good to go. I hope you're all right, Mark. Keeping all of our friends in the Southeast in our thoughts and prayers during the hurricane. So, again, is the workshop tailored to help me engage both technical and non-technical audiences without losing credibility? And the answer is, of course, yes. Most of your audiences, you have to understand the diversity of your audiences. My background is in education. I always joke that Jimmy and I are the professor and the poet because I'm in education. He comes from a Broadway background. But before I was in education, I was also a journalist. And in terms of like your nightly news broadcasts are actually written at a 4th grade level, so they're understandable to everybody. The best communicators make sure that their message can be understood by both of those types of audiences. I still speak. I'll be speaking to a school district tomorrow, and speaking to teachers, speaking to administrators, speaking to parents, speaking to staff, speaking to students. There's a huge diversity of ages and experience in that audience. And so I call it the Shrek approach. If you ever watch the Shrek movies, they have jokes for the kids, but they also have jokes in there for the adults as well. And that's what a well-crafted speech should have, is it should be able to speak to the needs of your techies, your nerdy folks that want to know all the technical details, but then also to a broader audience that doesn't perhaps know all those technical things. Actually, a really good example of this is, if you haven't watched it, the Steve Jobs iPhone launch back in I think it was 2007. The iPhone launch was unbelievable. So if you have a chance, I mean, it's kind of long, but Steve Jobs was just a master at taking an audience through the story of Apple. And so he guides the entire audience through all of the innovations over the years that Apple has created. And then for the non-techies, he talks about and this is when the iPhone's being introduced. He says, what if there was a way? He always does that. He's like, what if there was a way that you could have your iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator all in one. And so now all the non-techies are all entranced by that. But then he also talks to the techie people that know a lot more about computers and things like that. And he'd say he would talk about, oh, well, look at the touch screen features that we have on this iPhone, and it has a multi-touch interface. And then he would describe like all the capabilities of the operating system. And if you watch the audience, and this is here's a strategy for all of you: stop filming yourselves when you're speaking, start filming your audience, because it's going to tell you a lot more about how you're connecting with your audience. And if you just watch the audience at that, I think it was 2007 when the iPhone was introduced, but you just see people just enraptured by every word. They're hanging on every word that he's saying. Right now, we have elections right now in America, and just so you know, whenever I give political examples, it has nothing to do with politics. I just like watching lots of different speakers. Politicians give a lot of speeches. So, and of course, Jimmy and I work with politicians all the time. And politicians, they have to kind of do the same thing when they're doing their dance. So you'll watch it. So the politicians, they have to address the needs of their hardcore base. You know, that's very important. You got to definitely make sure you're addressing the needs of your hardcore base, but in order to win the election, you also have to make sure that you're appealing to the center, the undecided voters, the independent voters. So, you know, the way Jimmy and I have people remember it is you have to appease to the hardcores, and then you have to appeal to the people that are undecided. So appease and appeal. That's what a good, well-crafted story is doing in a presentation. Is you're making sure that the needs of everybody in your audience are met. So Mark, thank you very much for that question. Hopefully I was thorough in my answer on that. I've been told that I go a little bit too detailed. I'll try to only be about 20 to 30 minutes tonight. I know Jimmy's exactly the opposite. Jimmy's like, you know, yes, that's his answer. I'm like, well, I think there should be some research behind this. It's great. That's why we're like peanut butter and jelly. That's what you need. So thank you for that question, Mark. And again, I hope you're all right during the hurricane. Question number 2. This comes to us from Loretta in Calgary, Alberta. Our friends up in the Great White North. Thank you, Loretta, for the question. You write, how do you ensure that the stories we craft are authentic and not too salesy? Well, this is really important. This is actually the most important thing that we're teaching you in the 2-day workshop. Is we're trying to mine the stories from your life. So we'll look at, you know, what are your embarrassing moments, or talking about your first car, or we have a whole bunch of memory joggers, because we're trying to get those stories out of you. Because even the people that we work with that think they have no stories, everybody has lots of stories throughout their lifetime. And so we're mining for those, we're mining for gold. What are the best stories that can ensure that you're showing authenticity? And you know, I have a friend, and he's an expert in authenticity. He teaches people how to be authentic, and I give him a hard time, because I'm like, wow, I would think that the best way to be authentic is actually just to be yourself. That's how you're authentic, is be real. One of the things that we're teaching you in the 2-day workshop, this is really important, is we're teaching you how to plant seeds throughout your presentation. So this is a mistake that we see in a lot of presentations is, I mean, I'm watching 10 speakers a day. I'm watching infomercials. I'm watching politicians. I'm watching televangelists give lots of different speeches. And the mistake I see a lot of people make is they wait till the very end of their presentation to make their offer, whether it's a paid offer, like buy my product, or enroll in my coaching program, or it's an unpaid offer, like sign up for my free book or get my newsletter. But most people wait to the very end of their presentation. Expert communicators know that's not the right way to go about this. What we're teaching you how to do is to plant seeds throughout your speech, so that your audience is already thinking like, oh, what's this? You know, so I've already been planting some seeds to you. I talk about our 2-day workshops, and now you're thinking, oh, 2-day workshops. I wonder how much those cost. I wonder where those workshops are. And so if I make an offer now, you're like, oh, good. I was hoping he would make that offer, because he got me, it spurred my curiosity. That's what you want to do. You want to spur curiosity in your audience rather than sounding pushy and salesy. I'm thinking about some of the companies that I think do this really well. Patagonia, excellent example. So Yvon Chouinard, the founder of Patagonia, he really is a mission-driven company. So when people think about Patagonia, they think it's a company built around environmental stewardship, and he's done a really good job of emphasizing that. And so you trust the company because the company isn't focused on selling you anything. They're focused on values. How can we sustain the planet, make the planet a much better place? So it's about service rather than pushing products. Another good example would be Zappos. Tony Hsieh, unfortunately, Tony passed away, but Tony Hsieh was the founder of Zappos, which is an online shoe company. And he would never say it was an online shoe company. He said, we have the greatest customer service on the planet. And he's really created a culture where they celebrate all the employees. What did you do to go above and beyond? Steve Wynn, the owner of the Wynn Hotels in Las Vegas, he does the same thing. He doesn't have an employee of the month. He has employees talk about, well, what did you do that was above and beyond for customer service? And by doing that, he's created a culture where people want to one up one another and go even further and make it a fun place. And that's what Tony did with Zappos. Jimmy and I work with a lot of network marketing companies, and network marketing companies, whatever it is that they're pushing, I always joke with we've worked with lots of them, and I'm not going to name them because they are clients, but what I always give them a hard time about is, oh, you're really a personal and professional development company disguised as whatever product it is that they're selling. And plus they build community. And so that's what the allure is for people that are part of that community and they're part of a mission. I really honestly think that the way you create a presentation that's not salesy, Loretta, is make sure that you're serving your audience. Don't sell, serve. Jimmy and I push this all the time. The reason most people freak out about selling is because they're trying to sell. Don't ever think about selling. Think about serving. How can I serve my audience? As a teacher, I used to always tell my students that the only place where I comes before you is the alphabet. It should always be you first. We got to be focused on you. So believe me, if you focus on your customer rather than on you, you will be much more efficient from the stage, and you're going to serve your audience and do some good. Thank you for that question. Ooh, already 12 minutes. I do go long. All right. So maybe I have a chance for a couple more questions. Hopefully 3 questions, 4 questions. We'll see. Question number 3. Here's the question. What real-world business outcomes can I expect from improving my storytelling skills? And that comes to us from Barry in Woodside, California. Thank you for that, Barry. Well, actually, I'll give you a really good example because Jimmy and I, just a couple of weeks ago, were working with a whole bunch of financial planners. And one of them was this gentleman named Richard. Richard's been a financial planner for 30 years. Richard is very, very successful. And he came to our 2-day workshop. He already had a presentation that he uses, and his opening really talks about all of his accomplishments as a financial planner. He's very accomplished. It was almost like a resume. I mean, talked about all the numbers of people he works with, some of the famous people he works with, how much money he's made, all these people. And it was good. I mean, it was nice that he was talking about all of it. I mean, he basically gave his credibility, but it doesn't connect with the audience. And so what we really did to help him was we said, well, talk about when you first started as a financial planner, what was that like? What was it like getting your first client? And Richard was amazing. So now, instead of listing all of his accomplishments, he starts his presentation. He tells this hilarious story about the day he finally signed his first client as a financial planner. And it is just a comedy of errors. It was like one mistake after another. And this is how we judged it, is we looked at his audience, and Richard saw it right away. He went from what I call the cross arms, the people that look very serious and stoic with their arms crossed. Now, when you watch his audience, people are, I call it leaning and laughing. They're just leaning and laughing. They're like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest story. And that's what Richard needs to do. He's connecting. And, he does a lot of these dinner workshops to get client. You've probably gotten one of those in the mail. Maybe not. Maybe you're not old enough. I'm old enough. I get like 20 of these in the mail every single day saying, "Hey, you need a financial planner. You should come to Red Lobster or the Outback Steakhouse for a free meal, and we're going to tell you about your financial planning." Maybe I need to hang out with better people. I need to get invited to Morton's. But what he usually has about 15 people in his audience, and he was telling us that he usually gets about 5 or 6 to schedule a phone call. Well, and your results may vary. It's only been a couple of weeks, but he's now had 2 of these dinner seminars, and he went from like maybe 5 or 6 people signing up to now 12 to 13 out of 15 are signing up for his phone call. So there's a direct outcome that we got out of it. Great book, all of you should get. Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. Chip is a business school professor at Stanford. His brother Dan runs a software company in, I think, North Carolina, educational software company. And in that book, they talk about how the programs that people offer that offer lots of stories, they tend to lead to a lot more retention of the material that's covered. And when the audience remembers more things, it leads to a higher learning outcome for your audience, and higher learning outcomes lead to higher client satisfaction. So it's well documented. It's very well researched in their book. Made to Stick. You can't miss the book. It's wonderful. It's bright orange with duct tape around it. It's how do you get people to remember you, and even their book cover. I'll always remember their book cover. I didn't get to do this, but I guess we can probably. I think, well, Jimmy says it, so we try to keep our clients confidential. But Jimmy's talked about he had worked with Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey, if you haven't heard of Dave Ramsey, he's a financial planner, and he's built his entire brand based on all the mistakes he made before he became a financial planner. He was in debt like crazy, and now if you ever listen to Dave Ramsey, he talks about the mistakes he made. Is a very easy plan, and what he takes is people's financial catastrophes, which seem like, oh, there's no way anybody can solve this problem. And he simplifies it to actionable steps that they can take to help take control of their finances. And he's created a very successful business nationally and internationally that serves a lot of people. And that's something else. We don't say this enough, and I want you to remember this. Whatever it is that you want to do, you're going to serve a lot of people. It's very important what you do. You need to remember that. A lot of people, they forget that this is that important. But I say this, I sound like Elmer Gantry, a televangelist, saying this, but you need to remember it's not about you. Your audience, they are sick, and you have the antidote, and you can cure their ailment. Like, as long as you have that service mindset, you're going to be great. So, really one of the goals, well, we have lots of goals in our 2-day workshop, but some of the things that we're going to cover, we're going to show you how to build trust. You need to learn how to simplify concepts to your audience. You need to learn how to increase engagement. You need to learn how to differentiate your brand from others, because there's lots of people that do what you do, but they don't do it the way that you do it. And most importantly, we want you to encourage action of your audience. So again, very long answer to a short question. Hopefully I answered that for you, Barry. Thank you for the question. I'm running out of time because I know I go long. I'm going to do one more. So question number 4, this comes to us from Paul in Denver. Denver, that's where I live. Paul, nice. We should grab coffee. All right. Question 4. Can this workshop help me use storytelling to overcome objections or hesitations that potential clients may have? Absolutely. This is actually something we totally talk about in the 2-day workshop. What we teach you how to do is you need to reframe their objections into success stories. I mean, that's how you beat skeptics, is you address it. Jimmy gives a great example. The movie 8 Mile, at the very end of 8 Mile, it's about Eminem's a rapper, and I'm now going to establish how lame I am. But at the end of the movie, there's like a rap off, and it's him and this other guy, and Eminem has to go first, and all of his friends are like, oh man, he's going to diss you for living in a trailer, and your mama doesn't have a job, and your girl slept with another guy or whatever. And so what he does is he attacks the rapper. He says, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, I live in a trailer. You're going to say that my mom doesn't have a job. You're going to say that, I mean, and he addresses every issue, and the other guy doesn't know what to do. And I'm like, that's brilliant. That's exactly what you should be doing in presentations. Any type of objection that you feel like. So one of the things that we teach you in the workshop is when you're making your offer, uh, to put the cherry on top, one of the extras you should be doing is giving your audience bonuses, and your bonuses should be things that address those objections. So if people they don't know if they're ready to invest in your program, one of your bonuses is, oh, we're going to do a 1 hour Facebook Live where we address your questions on anything that you might still be wondering about the program. So that's addressing an objection that a person might be having. You know, one of the objections I hear all the time is people talk about, oh, you're too expensive. You know, oh, we actually had it today. A guy was interested in our workshop. He's like, oh, that's more than I thought I was going to have to spend. I'm like, well, there's the word spend. It's not spending, it's an investment. You know, and Jimmy and I are happy to share with you all kinds of trainers that train people for pennies on the dollar, and that's great. I mean, I have no competition. I only have potential partners. Have an abundance mindset. You don't want to be this person that is making yourself sound so exclusive. You know, I mean, Jimmy and I choose to only work with about 10 to 12 people that are serious-minded people, and we want people to succeed. And when people object to price, I always go back with value. It's not about price; it's about value. You know, you can drive cross country in a beat up Chevy Citation or a brand new BMW. The difference is in the ride. You know, you got to emphasize your value. What else do you bring to the table? So Jimmy and I, again, we work really well together because I have that educational background and he has that Broadway background, and so we're able to watch people's presentations from two different points of view to really help people solidify those presentations. One of the people that I love to read, actually, another book you should read. I don't know if there's one book, but Jonah Berger, he's a professor out of UPenn, and he has all kinds of great books that deal with this. Contagious is one. I don't know what's that one. He's got one. Invisible Influence, I think. He's got one, Magic Words. I like Magic Words. But what you want to do is to deal with those objections by reframing the objection and showing, well, you think it's a weakness, but we're actually going to turn it into a strength. And so hopefully, I don't know if that was the greatest answer, Paul. Hopefully I answered that for you, Paul. But I appreciate the question. I've now gone 23 minutes, and I was told I should only go 20 to 30 minutes. I really appreciate y'all coming to join me for questions. I know it's weird because we give different times all the time. We're trying to figure out what the most efficient time is. So if you have any questions or any suggestions on a time that would be most helpful and beneficial for you to answer your questions, please contact us. You can direct message us on LinkedIn. You can go to the Well Crafted Story Workshop LinkedIn page and make your comments there. But we appreciate all that you do. And remember, you are just a well-crafted story away from 7 figures. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Take care. God bless. Be safe.